I'm going to walk you through how to stitch one of these journals together. We're going to start by finding the center of the journal, right in there, and go ahead and cut in our twine. So I like to do 3, 2, 3, and then I usually will go an extra half lengths. So let's cut that of twine. And let's go ahead and get our ruler. We're just going to measure the center. Inches or centimeters, whichever you prefer. Okay. So we are 21 centimeters and 3 millimeters. So let's find half of that. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 21, and one more is 6. And then we'll make a small mark just so we know where the hole's going to go. This card can come out for now. Right there. And there's our center. And then from there you just want to have it equally spaced, and you want to get it close enough to the edge here that you catch as much as you can, but you don't want to miss any pages. So I'm going to say, let's go from this 10 down to 2. So we'll go 9 centimeters from here to here. I guess we can do it like this. 9 centimeters takes us to right there. Again, you want to mark that spot right on the crease. Do the same thing on the other side. We're going to get it right on the center of the fold. And the goal here is just to make sure you have enough space between there, and those are at the same spacing, which they are. All right, the next thing to do is to punch. So I'll get an awl right there. And the trick here is to make sure that it goes through the absolute center and comes out line that up. Comes out on that exact center right there, which can be tricky. So I like to fold it in half slightly. Also, these little clips will help keep it together nice and stable. At this point, now that these clips are locking everything in, I just want to make sure that everything's lined up straight. It looks a little off, so I'm going to take them off and keep adjusting. As they say, measure twice, cut once. I'm going to nudge that over a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but get it as precise as you can. Yeah, see, they're trying to get everything lined up. Just so. Alright. I'll fold these little clips back in, that way the little middle parts don't get in the way. Center it up, and then all right in the center. So I start, make sure it's going in, and then I'm gonna press through slowly and kind of look on the back side here and make sure it's coming out right on the crease. And I push it through a good little ways to widen that hole out. That'll help you later when you are stitching. Okay. Same thing here. That definitely helps later when you were stitching and the hole has to, see there? Right in that center. Yeah, a big enough hole that lets you stitch through a couple times and you don't get bound up. And the last one. sometimes I'll pierce it through and just kind of pull up like that. Let's see, look at that, right on the edge. That's what you're looking for, is these holes right on the crease there. Okay. Next, let's thread our needle. So I got this group of needles here. I usually use a fairly heavy one. That's part of why I use the awl and punch the big hole. So we use one of these pretty heavy gauge needles right there. And thread that with your twine. There we go. And you thread it through a few inches. You can go a little more if you want to. I like to pull there, make sure it's nice and tight. And then I typically stitch from the inside first and through the center hole. So I'm going to pull on the side, and that should feed right through. Yep, there it is. Pull through, and I leave, you know, a couple of inches, probably 6 or 8 inches through, and then feed it back in. This is the trickier one because you're working through the other direction. Sometimes I have to use my awl again, just to gently feed it through and make sure that that opening is wide enough. Careful not to, you know, pierce your hand here. And be careful too not to shift the pages because you're kind of working against. Yeah, you see there it can be. It can tend to want to sidetrack down one of the pages, and so this is a little tricky. But there, see if I feed it through like that. And I was very careful for it to see it come through the other side. And again, just working it through there. I don't get this too tight in the first stitch, just enough, because you can tighten it up later. So coming through, so I went in the center, back, and then from the outside into the bottom one. And now I'm going to leap past this one and go to the top one. And that should feed through pretty easily. And then the trickiest one here is back through the same hole that you came in for the beginning, but you're coming the opposite direction. So sometimes, again, what I'll do here is use the awl to kind of widen up that opening. You do want to make sure you don't put your needle through some of the twine, because then you can split the twine in half. I've done that before. So I'll just gently work it through. I'm not really forcing it. So there. You see now, the needle comes back through. Ta-da! And you have it already stitched. At this point, I take the needle out. And typically this happens, I like to make sure that the center thread here, one piece of twine is coming on one side and one's coming on the other. Notice right now it's coming on the same side. So I'm just going to gently pass one of these under, like that. So now the thread is encapsulating both sides. Okay. At this point, grab both pieces of twine and gently pull. And if you don't get much, then you come through and you're just kind of pulling the slack out. So like I'll pull the slack out of the top piece here and then pull the thread back through the center. We'll pull the slack out of the bottom thread, pull that through the center. And then I'm going to put some pressure here. I'm going to pull a little bit on both. Mostly what I'm looking for is a little snap right there. So those are a little loose still. Just want to make sure you don't break your paper while you're doing this. You can put a little force on it. So I'm holding down. Put a little force right there. Okay. Much better. So I'm keeping tension on that. I'm going to go ahead and do one knot, just a simple knot. Make sure you preserve all that tension. All right, at that point, I'm just going to double check, make sure that it's like I like it. Lost a clip, but that's okay at this point. Those can come off. Then I'll do my final knot. So there's one. There is two, and this is just to lock it all into place. And at that point, you can do whatever you want with these. Sometimes we'll add something to them. Sometimes you'll trim them back a little bit. Make sure everything's clean there. Check your binding, and you're done. All stitched together. So that's how you do a 3-hole, 1-stitch single signature bind.